Alright guys, Scrappy here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy's won 2 world championships in the last 2 years for the Green Wall, but it could have been a very different story if this eventuality ended in a different way. Dashy reveals a remarkable turn of events at the start of last season when they first formed the team that won last year's world championship that could have ended in absolute disaster for Dashy's legacy as a player. Big drama with the roster stuff going on elsewhere as well. Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. We're going to begin with Black Ops 7. Big rumours over the last couple of days. What's going to happen next? And the reports suggest, Ghosty says, that in the CDL we are expecting Control to disappear as a game mode. So let's talk about it. Control's been the game mode since Cold War. Well, it's actually been in the third mode since Black Ops 4 as we know, with Specialists, let's not forget. Now, Specialist might well be back. We'll talk about that later on today and the impact that could make on a game mode such as, let's say, Uplink, but I think many would say Control played the best in Black Ops 4, the first game that it was added to, because first of all it was kind of designed to be played then. It was 5v5, which worked for many of those maps for Control, although I think 4v4 would have also been perfectly fine. And I think the Specialists did level it up to some degree, giving teams more avenues of which to use to break control points and stuff like this. They, of course, didn't use it in MW19 because Infinity Ward had their say and we had to play Domination for a year, which was an absolute disaster, and I never want to go back and do that ever again. So, Dom is not the answer. What is the answer? They went back to Control for Cold War, MW, Vanguard, MW2, MW3. That's what we've been playing for a long time. And I think Control, personally, I think it's an acceptable game mode. I don't think it's absolutely terrible. It's a decent middle ground between Hardpoint and Search and Destroy. It's relatively easy for the new viewer to understand. Look, Hardpoint is the best game mode to me. That is quintessentially what makes Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a phenomenal map of Hardpoint. Search and Destroy is also great and should never be going anywhere. The question has always been, what's the third mode? Back in the day, like in Black Ops 3, Map 1 was Hardpoint, Map 2 was Search, Map 3 was Uplink, Map 4 was not Hardpoint, it was Capture the Flag, and then Map 5 would back to Search and Destroy. We used to have 4 game modes for some time in COD, but I think selecting only 3 and doing 2 Hardpoints, 2 Searches, most would agree that's been a good step. But what should that third, the swing mode, actually be? Control, it has objectives, it has lives, people can generally understand, okay, capture the points before your lives get to 0. It's relatively easy to comprehend, doesn't make it great. Maps like Gavutu, maps like Fortress, just defense win, defense win, defense win. I might as well just tune in for round 5. It's not a great viewing experience, and I think over the last few years it's become a weaker playing experience as well. Uplink, legendary game mode, first introduced in Advanced Warfare and only existed during the jetpack era. They tried to bring it back as a game mode called Gridiron in World War II. The pros actually got pretty close to selecting that as the third mode, but instead they went for Capture the Flag. What are the other options as a third mode? Because I think many would say Control has probably run its course as a mode now and would like to do something else. Some have even suggested, could you play Kill Confirmed? Now, it's an interesting mode. It's team deathmatch, but you need to pick up the dog tags in order to actually secure the points. The issue I think with that is there's no objective area on the map, so teams would go up 3 to 4 and would just camp. I think it would be an awful viewing experience. The other option is something like a headquarters or even maybe a one flag CTF, where there's a flag in the middle, you've got to take it to the opponent's base to score. And in many ways, that's not too dissimilar to what Uplink is, but Uplink is spectacular when it works well. Now, it worked great in the jetpack era, of course. You pick up the ball, you can pass it between your team players. If you throw it in the portal, you get a point. If you dunk it in, you get 2 points. And people look back on Uplink very fondly, and for very good reason indeed. The question is, would it work on boots on the ground? How's BO7 going to compensate for that? Because one of the things that made Uplink great was the idea of a one-point throw, or certain lineups, like here on evac, for example, before you even get anywhere near this corner, you can start doing one-point throws over buildings. When I used to actually play the game a bit, I'd be sitting there in practice lobbies, on Fringe, just practicing the one-point throws over the barn and over the granny's house again and again and again until you could get them kind of consistently. It was a big part of the game mode, but so was interceptions, because jetpacks allowed those one-point throws to be possible, and they allowed the interceptions. In a world with no jetpacks, what does that look like? The portal would have to be lower, you're just jumping in. Maybe if wall running is a thing, you could have a wall next to the portal that spawns up that allows you to kind of bounce off it and get into the portal, and therefore would allow you to maybe intercept a one-point throw as well. It's a very good question. I think it's cool to see it returning. I think it's got big implications because many of the players in the CDL right now never played Uplink, right? Some of them have, that were around in the Jetpack era, but not many, of course, as we know. And maybe it wouldn't be quite the same as it was in the Jetpack era, but with potential more advanced movement and grapple hooks and specialists coming back into play, I still think that it'll probably prove to be better than Control. And as I say, nobody plays Control. I think that's the other thing that I didn't say yet, actually. But like, Hardpoint, everyone knows is great, and it is played in pubs. Search and Destroy, obviously, you know, no doubt about that. But Control, like, does anyone, like casual players, do they really play Control as a mode? I don't really think they do. Whereas from like a casual perspective, to me, Uplink seems just far more compelling. That's that drama. There was also this. Zuma said yesterday that Ravens or Boston could be gone and we might have a new org coming in. Now, there's been lots of rumors about this. Couple of Saudi orgs interested, couple of other organizations interested as well. But my understanding is, EasyMac put this on the Reddit the other day, this year, the most recent season, was by far the best year for these teams so far in terms of revenue. They had the YouTube rights deal, and also I'm guessing that the in-game sales, the merchandise sales, the bundles, did better this year than previously or better than expected. I don't know, because it seems like that's probably been the key revenue driver for these teams, because teams that don't spend much money, Boston Ravens included, they made a good chunk of change this year from the skin revenue and from the YouTube deal, to such a degree that maybe they do finally see an actual path to profitability and they don't want to sell. It's actually probably a good thing for the league that these teams don't want to sell. Like, as much as you might want, and I wouldn't want Ravens to go, some other org to take their place, probably a good thing for the state of the league that they're not trying to flood out of the league anymore like maybe they were previously. So there were rumors that this was going to happen, but then Boston came out with this from Arthur when the rabbit character here, Buster or whatever, says, I couldn't believe people just go on the internet and tell lies. So I'm pretty sure this isn't happening. I don't 100% know, but Ronnie says, it's not Boston, it's not Ravens. And Taylor says, I wouldn't expect any departures this year. Next year, though, it's very likely. So, we'll see, won't we? But it's interesting this next year, though, because, as I say, if the teams are in a good spot, profitability-wise, and therefore they don't want to sell anymore, then, next year, if the implication is that something's happening next year, does that mean expansion? I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Couple of roster things before we talk about the Dashy stuff. This account, OliD65, they tweeted this roster, Neptune, Ghosty, Envoy, and Sib, a couple of days ago now, about a day before Ronnie said that this is what the roster is going to be. So we can talk about that roster when it gets confirmed, because I think having thought more about this roster, I like it on paper. When it's written down on paper, I like it. When I actually think about it, I don't know. I have a few concerns. We'll get into that when it gets confirmed if it does. But the same account also tweeted this out, hearing that Gentlemates target Rambo over head coach position. So I kind of theorized this for some time with no intel, but it just makes a bit of sense. Rambo off of Surge, as we know, Gentlemates, Gataga, French-speaking, French-Canadian, I don't know, just makes a bit of sense to me. So, and of course could also help Neptune in the same way that he did in the most recent season. So just to throw it out there that the same account that called this roster before Ronnie did is also saying that Gentlemates are targeting Rambo as their head coach. But let's talk about some of this drama, right? Because this is hilarious. I'll share a couple of minutes of this clip. I'm going to cut it down from like the full length of it because I want you guys to check out the full episode after this is done. But I'll just give you guys the crux of what happened here. So going into Modern Warfare 3, difficult end of the season in MW2. They make a couple of changes. Ghosty's gone off the team. Huke is gone. And they bring in Pred, of course, and Kenny into the roster. They're starting off the year. You guys might even remember the series that he's talking about here because I think it was a Terminal Search and Destroy map 5 that they played against New York. And Dashy says, first game of the season, in the, the old facility that they were playing out of for several years, even when Kremp was there in like the MW19 season, there was lots of talk about the internet lines in that facility and they weren't really working properly. Dashy was promised that they'd got it all sorted, all of the different rooms were on different internet lines than what OpTic were playing on. So there was going to be no issue with lagging, with skipping, with anything like that. But as it turned out, that wasn't quite the case, and Dashy was not very happy about it.
Lighting, whatever it could be, just like...
Might take a little bit of internet.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So then,
I've never heard this
So
from
we
you.
had a meeting a week prior. They're like, you guys are going to be the only ones on this line. There's going to be no issue. We're going to have this. You guys are going to have that. No problem. Bada bing, bada boom. Right? So I'm like, perfect, right? Like, we get to the match, and I'm warming up for this match, by the way. I'm seeing Packer burst on my screen. I'm like, that's never happened once. I'm like, that's weird. I'm getting fucking ran. So I'm like, that is also not helping the situation. And I could feel the lag. I'm getting slight skips, but I'm like, also, I don't want to check out the team. It's game day, our first league match of the year. It's my new teammates. I'm not trying to come off first impression.
Who's the team?
Me, AG, Ken, and it's our BO4 or
BO4.
MW3
Okay, yeah, MW3 team.
I was just seeing red, bro. Because I'm like, I gotta investigate this studio. Nobody was there live, right? We were also the last match. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I started investigating setup, this entire circular, the fucking facility Stroh's so proud of it. We're in downtown. I'm investigating the fuck out of that. From setup to setup, the setup room, their content room, the fucking every room, except for, like, bro, the only one that was on our shit was their Seth watch party.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, they have on.
Oh, so they were all on your line.
Every single one.
Okay.
So immediately I'm like, but like the only reason I got so mad is because they literally like looked at me and they were like, yo, like, you're good. No, like, don't tweet. You get shit on. It's because you're terrible. That's basically like, I wish they would just say that. You get shit on, you're terrible. I looked and I'm like, this is the most biggest cap shit ever. Immediately when I saw that, started dismantling the place, bro. I can't lie. Like, but it wasn't like on some, like, I don't give a fuck about this team or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the vibe of it, like after after just dismantling shit, just tearing apart webcams, headsets.
You're just
doing demonic, the fucking backdrops on the floor. Just doing demonic shit, kicking trash, kicking boxes.
I got
shit
the text.
Like,
I got the text that was like, bro, did you hear about Bruce last night? And I was like, what happened?
This is just actually.
And they were like, he went crazy.
Bro, this is a little insight of like, bro, a lot of people think that I'm very like easygoing. I'm a psychopath when it comes to like competing. Like I love this shit, bro. I promise you. It was just me like being a moron. That's number one thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that was like, bro, fuck these guys. Like, it wasn't like, fuck these. It was just more like, bro, they just fucking lied to me. They think I'm brain dead. I fucking look at this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it was so stupid what I did.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think anything of it, right? A week goes by. I'll never forget this. I will never forget this, right? It was one of those days where I'm on David Goggins schedule that we used to always laugh. We had a day off. And I get to the facility at 7:30, 8 o'clock a.m. But I stream, right? Yeah. I see like the around the bar shit.
Right, yeah.
I didn't see him or see him, bro. I'm just like, bro, I swear to God, I was on Karachi just going over jump spots. Like, I'm like, oh, I like the way they play this for the clutch or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm running. I don't even see.
You smell him?
Bro, I swear to God, I look over and he is just looking dead stare at me. Bro, it was the scariest shit ever. Bro, I swear to God, like, bro, this encounter changed me as a person. I promise you. And then he was like, come to my office real quick. And then, yo, I am walking to this guy's office, shitting myself. Yo, I swear to God, like, this is the scariest shit I've ever been a part of. Sits me down, bro, literally basically says, bro, that combo he had, that 5 minutes, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm never gonna you know what I mean? And then like, bro, my team was like after I was like, yo, I'm not like, I was a soldier. They were like, they brought the scenario because apparently like they knew about like the meeting or whatever. And I was like, bro, I promise you, I'm not, like, yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Contact, yeah, let's do it. Whatever you want. Bro, that engagement, he was like, don't fucking ever do that shit again. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, he went like a little bit more in depth with it, but I was like, I remember just saying like, bro, I was lagging though. I was like, bro, they were holding me though. Like, but I get it. I'm never doing that again.
And they were like, no, he was like throwing keyboards around. And I was like, what?
Bro, I don't even remember what I did, but I just know I did 20 minutes of damage. Like,
we can tell that Dashy's been getting frustrated at times over the last couple of years, and we remember this clip of him smashing up the webcam or whatever it was earlier this season, and maybe this was kind of a similar Dashy rage moment than what he'd had a year or so before when it was all going down apparently in the facility. Now, I think it's funny to get an insight here more into Dashy's personality, right? Because as he says, people think like, oh, well, he's just going to play Counter-Strike and he's here for the vibes, but clearly he's very much a competitor. I just find the whole saga around this kind of fascinating because it's the first game of the season, right? Like, it's not, maybe it's not that deep. If it was like a big game and a big moment or something and it was a big qualifying match or something, then sure, obviously I understand the frustration. And the frustration's going to be there anyway, I get it. But but Dashy to go around and, as he says, do 20 minutes of damage, throwing around keyboards, smashing up monitors, like kicking all sorts of things. I mean, I hope there's some CCTV footage of this or something that can be recovered. And in hindsight, it's hilarious, obviously. But at the time, as Hitch went on to say, I don't think it was in the bit that I shared, but Hitch also said that he was getting texts being like, I don't know what's going to happen with Brandon here, right? Because he just smashed up all of our equipment and probably caused like thousands of dollars worth of damage. Hex brought him into his office and gave him a right hair drying treatment, right? Complete dressing down. And presumably was, having to have a reasonable conversation as to whether Dashy, given that action, could reasonably continue with the organization. But in the end, they made the right decision. Dashy kept on going, and well, the rest is history. So thought it was a hilarious moment. As I say, I'll link the entire podcast down below if you guys want to check it all out. But I'm sure everyone's going to have their opinion on this one. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.